Tennessee Wildcast is live on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in, and we are live on Facebook. Hope y'all are tuning in and watching that. Just popped up on my phone here. We're live on Facebook. Look at that, guys. Glad y'all are tuning in. And if you're listening on the radio, thank y'all for tuning in there. Excited about today's show. We're going to be talking a lot about private lands, conservation, habitat improvement, and all that good stuff with Mr. Clint Borum and Dan McEwen. And Dan is with the McEwen Group, and he is one of our TWRA TV Pro Shop partners for the show today. And thank y'all for being in here. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Don't be shy now. Jump in there.
Buddy. Doing real good.
We got a lot to talk about today, and Dan and Clint have worked together for a long time. Dan being on the real estate side, and Clint being in on the habitat improvement side. He knows all things wildlife and habitat, so they've been a good team, worked together real well. But today we're going to talk to Dan about some of the stuff that McEwen Group's got going on to kick it off. We featured Tumbling Creek on the show not too long ago, and
yes, sir.
It's still out there for sale if y'all are interested in that one, right?
It is.
And videos are hitting good on TWRA TV.
It is. Tumbling Creek is one of my favorite areas in Middle Tennessee. I think you guys stock it with trout, and so the fishing there is awesome and cool place.
Yeah, a lot of your properties offer a lot of hunting and fishing opportunities. So it's those are cool properties you have for sale. The Piney River sold the other day, I believe.
Piney River's gone. Middle Tennessee's just blessed with so much good water, and that's kind of our whole model is staying on the water and good land up and down these creeks and rivers and fishing, and it's awesome.
Right. We're going to show a video if y'all are watching online and let y'all see this property, but it's the Arrowhead Farm, and if I can get over to the button here. But this is, you can watch this on TWRA TV, and y'all can hear the audio
Wherever
there.
this farm sat on a map, it would have all the desired qualities and more of a farm its size for what you can do there. It just so happens it's a half hour west of Nashville.
Makes me want to go.
There is ground and row crop, ground and fenced pasture, knobs and draws covered in deep timber, big islands of open field on hilltops, and at the foot of ridge lines, there's 5,000 feet on two creeks in their sandy confluence.
Wow. That's some beautiful piece of property there.
It's going to take you back to your grandparents'
Tell us
farm.
about what this property
You'll feel
offers
like
and
it
kind of
could
what
be
folks are going to be
anywhere
looking
in the
at if they're
countryside
interested in this
some
one.
other different
Looks
era.
like one Clint Borum needs to buy, I think. I don't know.
I tell you what, you loan me the money and I'll go get it today, Dan.
Turnbull Creek is one of those blue ribbon streams in Middle Tennessee. I mean, it's loaded with smallmouth bass and just always been one of my favorite places to fish. So when this family called and wanted to sell this farm, I got super excited right away because any time I hear Turnbull, it's excitement. And having Beaver Dam Creek and Turnbull Creek and the confluence of two major streams coming together on a farm, that's all I need to hear.
It's as good as it gets, man.
That's all I need to hear to know it's a pretty special spot. It's been in the same family for over 100 years, and it's just one of those blue chip, awesome places that we've got in Middle Tennessee.
No shortage of game in that area either.
You never go down there. There's bean fields and the bottom fields all along the creek. There are soybeans planted there this year. The farmer complained all year about not having any beans left, and we all know why.
Yeah.
And so,
for sure,
one of those places.
Well, let's highlight a few of the others, and some that may be a little more affordable. I don't know if it's in my price range, but
okay.
For guys like me, maybe that can afford some smaller properties. This one's 433 acres in Murray and Lewis County. It's just south of Columbia. Let's talk about it. It's Holloway Street.
Yeah, Holloway Street. It's 244 acres.
244 acres. Okay.
And it's a really interesting place. It was timber company land at one point. So the ridges have been planted in pine, and so there's big, flat hardwood ridges that have pine habitat and food plots of wheat and oats and clover mixed in the pine. And this area is interesting. It's in Summertown, Tennessee.
Okay.
So Summertown is loaded with good water, and so in every hollow there's a spring or branch, and it's just a good mix of open and woods and water, and it's 335,000. So it's it's Middle Tennessee's growing. It's getting harder and harder to find almost 250 acres for that kind of money. So
yeah, and then there's one more that's maybe offers a little more fishing opportunity. This one here is on the I forget what river.
Duck River.
The Duck River, yeah.
And,
so that's one of the most diverse rivers in the state. So
Duck River's near and dear to my heart. Clint has helped me tremendously on my farm. We have a family farm on the Duck River, and so I've been fishing for smallmouth and catfish and fishing on Duck River my whole life. Duck River's awesome when it gets past Columbia because it's very private. I mean, you rarely see anybody. I mean, it's like the river to yourself. So that farm is in Santa Fe, which is if you're not from Tennessee, you call it Santa Fe.
Yeah.
But us Tennesseans call it Santa Fe.
I think I probably still call it Santa Fe.
Yeah, and so 135 acres on Duck River, really cool place. And anything on the river has a bunch of turkeys, a bunch of deer. You rarely go on these farms and not see wildlife. And so that's what I get excited about.
Yeah. So if you're interested in properties like this that have abundance of wildlife, opportunities for fishing, just chances to be outdoors, outside, these are great pieces of property to look into. All different price ranges, all different types of properties available.
Yeah, Dan has some really beautiful properties. That that second piece of property was one that I actually wrote a management plan on.
Really?
I knew the gentleman that owned it. He was a firefighter in Lawrenceburg, and he developed cancer and ended up passing away, which is a real sad story. We worked together and did some really great stuff on that piece of property.
That's awesome.
And it's got that beautiful waterfall on it. We put those food plots in, and so it is a real nice piece of property.
Thank you.
That's a good segue into how you and Dan met or have worked together in the past. Tell us a little bit about the partnerships y'all have had working together as a group there.
Yeah, Dan, being a wildlife habitat biologist and working with private landowners in Middle Tennessee, I'm going to bump into, per se, some real estate guys, and bumped into Dan and realized what kind of operation they had going on and what he was doing, dealing with just really fine pieces of property in central Tennessee, and ended up basically developing a partnership. Worked with Dan on some things, and if I recall, we even did a really cool QDM workshop out at Dan's and involved his neighbors. And I think when he saw what all we brought to the table, what TWRA could provide, it was something that he jumped on too, and we developed this partnership where, basically when Dan sells a piece of property and the guys are interested in managing for wildlife, he says, you need to call Clint.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what we do. We come out and work with these landowners and help them develop those properties from a wildlife management standpoint, and just take what I think are cream of the crop properties already and send them over the top,
Most of the time when somebody comes to us and says, we want to get a place for our family to go and to hunt and to fish and just to be on the land, and a lot of times they have a history of land, like maybe they went to their grandparents' farm or something like that, but they don't have a lot of current experience taking care of it. So they'll purchase it, and then they'll call and say, what do we do now? And that's where Clint has been so awesome to figure out a forestry management plan, or to recommend the people to do that, and a food plot management plan, and just things that regular folks don't think about all the time. I think it's free, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they really like that. They go, well, how much is it going to cost me? And I go, it's free. And they go,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, we're going to dive into this with Clint today. He's got a lot of information on how his programs work and how you can meet up with him, get involved with these programs, and improve your land for wildlife. And before we move on to the next segment, Dan, tell us your website again so people can go check that out.
So it's McEwenGroup.com, MCEWEN Group.com. We're actually in Columbia, Tennessee. We grew up in Hickman County. My son Lewis will be the 6th generation on the same farm down on the Duck River in Hickman County. So
That's cool.
We're very rooted in land and care deeply about the wildlife on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, Dan, I appreciate you coming in and being a Pro Shop partner with us. And
thank y'all. Thank you very much.
And it's been fun. So check out these properties, McEwenGroup.com, or you can call them 931-381-1808.
Thank you very much.
Good way to get a hold of you. So
that is.
We appreciate you tuning in or coming in.
I'll be expecting a call, Dan.
All right.
Get your questions answered. TWRA Q&A. Q&A.
All right. Well, that's our new music for our Q&A segment there. Clint, what do you think?
I like it, dude.
You like that?
It needs a little more country.
A little more country? So anyway, we're going to highlight a question that was coming in this week, or well, it's early in the week, but it's been coming in here a few weeks ago, or past couple weeks, about what's next year's opening dates for deer hunting, because I'm trying to set my schedule, and I want to take my days off from work and go ahead and put in my days and try to work out deer camp next year. So those dates are always, or most of the time, permanent opening dates, and they can be found on page 12 of the hunting guide. And for instance, deer archery always opens on the 4th Saturday in September. Deer muzzleloader always opens on the 3rd Saturday before Thanksgiving. Deer gun is always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And the first young sportsman hunt is always the last Saturday in October. So, and then there's normally a young sportsman toward the end of the season there after the last week of the normal deer season. So those are some of the dates that they're always going to be permanent opening dates. And if you're trying to work your schedule for work and take time off, that's when you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest advice would be take time off to take those kids hunting and fishing on that juvenile hunt.
Mm-hmm.
We had an awesome time, and the deer were really moving, and the kids, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yep. And it's fun to be out there with the kids. And another good chance for the kids is the free hunting day. We have a lot of hunts that we offer as an agency. We'll organize squirrel hunts, and free hunting day is normally the opening day of squirrel. So that's the 4th Saturday in August. So good opportunity to get the kids out.
Absolutely.
So how old's your son now?
He's 15, Jason.
15. Man, I remember we shot some video of him at a hunt one time, and he was
We actually went back and
young.
looked at that a while back and had a good laugh a few weeks ago over that video of him at Buffalo Ridge.
Yeah.
Actually, he killed his first buck out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was some good times.
on one of those youth hunts. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, I can remember he's like, you just got to aim, shoot. I can still remember that. That's great. All right. Well, Clint, let's jump into what we're here to talk about today. Wildlife habitat biologist for 26 counties, and you've been with the agency, or at least working in this position, for 13 years.
Yep.
Give us a little history on how you got where you are today. Your dad was an officer, and he worked for the agency for 40 years, and that's probably how you found your way, toward the agency. But tell us a little bit about history, how you got here.
Yeah, you hear these stories about, my dad owned a dairy barn, and I was milking cows when I was 4, and I'm going to be milking cows when I'm 80. It was one of those kind of deals. My dad was a wildlife officer, and we just grew up in the woods, my brother and I. All the time, that's what we thought about, hunting, fishing, where's the next place we were going to go, the next thing we were going to hook or shoot, and went out with my dad and managed properties. I can remember him dropping us off when we were kids with fishing rods and some sandwiches and coming back at dark. We would fish all day. It's just what we did. And so I knew that was the career path that I wanted to take eventually. Having seen law enforcement and all the things that went along with that, I really do enjoy being at home in the evenings and being able to go hunting on opening weekends. So I decided to take the biologist path, and it has worked out well for me.
Mm-hmm. So let's just kind of keep hitting on that. You went to school. There's an education process, and tell us about that.
Yeah, I went to school at UT Martin, which I will go ahead and put this out there. Probably the greatest wildlife school in the state of Tennessee.
Of course, you went there, right?
Of course, and it has spit out some of the best, in my opinion. But really enjoyed my time at UT Martin. It was a double-edged sword because I didn't do a lot of duck hunting before I went there, and if you live within 45 minutes of Reelfoot Lake, you're going to learn to go duck hunting. So I've developed a new vice and spend half my paycheck doing that now. And but I really did enjoy going to UT Martin, and started working for the agency as a fisheries guy, doing lakes and hatchery work, and didn't think I would enjoy squeezing fish that much, but it was an outstanding job, and did stream survey for a couple of years and really enjoyed that. Sampled just about every stream west of the Tennessee River, and then a position came open in lands management in Middle Tennessee, and I decided to come back closer to home and took that position, and have basically been doing lands management ever since.
I learned something every day. I didn't know you were a fish squeezer.
I was a fish squeezer, man.
Fish head turned wildlife biologist or habitat biologist. So let's define and explain to people. We've kind of already hit on it with Dan and talking about how y'all work together, but what does a wildlife habitat biologist do?
Basically, Jason, I'll put an example out there.
Okay.
Let's say you, with all the folding money that you have in your pocket,
in my 10 acres,
and you own 150 acres in Murray County.
Man,
moving on up. You just really didn't know what to do, but you wanted to manage that property for wildlife, for deer, for turkey, for quail, whatever it may be. I'm the guy you would call. You would give me a call. We would talk about the property, where it's at, and we would set a field visit up. Set an appointment where I could come out and we could just basically take a look at the property, talk to you about your goals and objectives for this tract, and then it would be my job to come back and develop a written management plan with GIS-based maps and practices drawn in, recommendations on what to plant, where to plant, what to do, to give you this guiding document on how to manage this piece of property. And then after that, then we would sit down and talk about all of the cost share programs that are out there that will help fund most of that work if you were interested.
Because you mentioned earlier that it's pretty much free to the landowner for these programs to be implemented on their properties, right?
It is.
There's probably some cost, in places, but
from us, it's a free service that we provide.
Okay.
What TWRA is looking for is a way to work with the other 90% of the state, okay? Let's face it, 10% of the state is publicly owned land. And so that leaves 90% out there that we really don't have a hand in as far as management goes for wildlife. That's a pretty big percentage. So having these private lands biologists or habitat biologists gives us an avenue to work with private landowners that are interested in managing their properties for wildlife. It allows us to broaden our horizons. We can manage the heck out of that 5 to 10%, but if we don't have an impact on that 90% that's out there, what do we do? And we just want to give those people guidance based upon their goals and objectives, and create the best habitat we can statewide to improve those game populations.
I see more and more properties being bulldozed over. Coming into work the other day, I decided to take a different route, more through the country, coming to work. And I see more trees cut and more land cleared and more buildings going up. And it's amazing how much property we're losing every day.
It really is, Jason. Urban expansion, as you well know, Nashville, Spring Hill, Murfreesboro are three of the fastest growing places in the United States of America right now. So we're seeing that in those counties. What we want to do is try to protect those areas where those landowners have a demand or an interest to manage for wildlife. And we're making progress there. We really are.
You mentioned wildlife biologists across the state and us, and you keep saying that. There are 4 wildlife habitat biologists across the state, correct? And then there's some other partner biologists that you work with.
Sure, yeah. There are 4 of us, and we cover the 4 TWRA regions. Chris Hunter in West Tennessee, myself in Middle Tennessee, Michael McCord covers the Plateau, and Stephen Thomas covers Far East Tennessee. Those are the 4 wildlife habitat biologists with Tennessee. We also have 3 Quail Forever partner biologists.
Okay.
2 of those are in West Tennessee, Gordon Counts and Brittany Veers. And then we also have Josh Turner, who works kind of Region 2, Region 3 area, and works with Michael and myself. And so they've been really outstanding. To have those extra 3 people to visit with landowners and develop these plans has been great. And all these positions are in partnership with NRCS, or Natural Resource Conservation Service.
Okay. Now that was going to be my next question. You've got NRCS and you throw around a lot of acronyms, but just what is the NRCS and kind of the behind the scenes of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you want to go where the money is, all right? TWRA has a decent budget to do work, but the federal government has a much larger budget. Right. So NRCS stands for Natural Resource Conservation Service, and they used to be called the old ASCS office, or the old Soil Conservation Office, as a lot of the old timers would call it.
Is soil conservation still around?
It is, but they have renamed themselves as the Natural Resource Conservation Service.
Okay.
They are a branch under USDA, and their job, they have an office in every county in every state, and have personnel to administer the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is a bill that is appropriated through the federal government, Congress and Senate, every 5 years. It actually has billions, and when I say billions, that is with a B, billions of dollars in conservation efforts within that Farm Bill. USDA and NRCS, their job is to take that portion of money and get it down to the ground level to work with farmers and landowners. Their job is to protect air, soil, water, and wildlife. That is their mission.
Okay.
And so they're working with row crop farmers, with cattle farmers, and with recreational landowners to help them implement conservation-friendly practices that protect all or air, soil, water, and wildlife.
So that money is able to be applied for, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. They have programs that these landowners apply for. We develop management recommendations for them, or develop a plan, either the district conservationist within RCS or the private lands biologists deal with the wildlife vendors, and we develop a management plan, and then we look at a program they can sign up for to potentially receive cost share to implement those practices that we've recommended in that plan. It's a win-win. That money is out there to protect these species, to protect the soil and air and the water, improve water quality, and it's available for private landowners, whether they're a 20,000-acre row crop farmer or whether they're a 50-acre recreational landowner. There are biologists and district conservationists out there that will come and meet with them and help them develop a plan for their property and then guide them through the cost share programs that are out there.
So you mentioned the 50 acres. What's the smallest piece of tract of land that you could put one of these programs on? Or
there's really no limit, Jason. Okay. I've worked with some really small landowners. In fact, I worked with a gentleman in Marshall County that had 20 acres, and he wanted to manage his property for quail. 5 to 8 years later, he calls me and tells me he has what he thinks is 3 to 5 coveys of quail on that 20 acres. So there's really no limitations. I've worked with 7,000 acres on one piece of property. So from big to small, it's our job to service them all.
So that's the new slogan. Let's put that on the website, which is tnwildlife.org, and you can go there and find more information about these programs. But from big to small, we'll service them all. Is that it?
Yeah, properties, that is.
So, yeah. People buy property, and I think about this. They want to buy a tractor, and then they buy a bush hog, and they say, all right, let's go cutting. But that's not always best for the property. Y'all have practices like old field food plot management, forest management, wetland management, all these different ideas for these different properties. But bush hogging and buying a tractor and bush hogging is not the way to manage those.
Yeah, we have a bad habit in Tennessee of doing what we call recreational bush hogging. I think it's bred into our system. Well, I own this tractor and it's sunny outside.
Yeah.
I need to be driving it.
I don't have nothing else to do.
Because
Let's
I'm
go.
paying for it. I need to be driving it. Let's hook the bush hog up and cut some stuff
My
down.
wife's
But-
going to make me sell it.
But what most people don't realize when they become educated on the biology of the species that they're trying to manage for, that may be the very last thing they want to be doing on that piece of property. You know, we have primary nesting seasons where you don't want to be doing that at all. If wildlife management is your objective, and if you're managing for birds, you're just creating a worse environment than what was originally there. So we do have specific practices that we look at based upon the landowner's objectives. It may be prescribed burning, it may be disking, it may be herbicide use, but we evaluate those sites and work with those landowners to make the best recommendations.
And then let's reiterate, and I don't think we said this, but how to contact one of those 4 people, one of the 4 wildlife habitat biologists or your Quail Forever partners.
Sure. The easiest way is to go to our website and click on wildlife and then wildlife habitat, and it'll pull our page up. And then there'll be a map with who to contact in your area, in your county, a state map. Those names and numbers will be listed, and you can give us a call or email us, and we'll get something going. You can also walk into your NRCS office, talk to your district conservationist, and if you're interested in managing for wildlife, they'll typically give us a call and let us know that we need to set an appointment with this landowner. But either way, it's really easy to do.
Okay, cool. Makes it real easy. And then y'all set up booth, and we're going to run out of time, but y'all set up a booth at the National Wild Turkey Federation convention every year. Y'all going to be there this year?
Yeah, we're going to be there again this year. It's a partnership with NRCS. We've got 1,000 square feet, and we're going to work with anybody that wants to come in and talk to us. We're going to have a lot of things available for landowners at that show.
Cool. So y'all were able to talk with a lot of people there, and a lot of people come through there are definitely a lot of them have property, and it's a good time to
tens of thousands of people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Trust me.
And we're going to have a booth out there. I think we're going to have a trailer out there and some other stuff for y'all to check out from the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. So make your way to the National Wild Turkey Federation convention this year in Nashville. So, well, I think we covered everything on my list for the most part. I'm sure we missed something, but the website, tnwildlife.org, great place to find more information.
Wildlife habitat.
Yep.
Click on it.
That's it. Clint, we appreciate you. Thank you for being here. You do great work for the agency and for those landowners out there. And we appreciate everybody tuning in. We're here every week, and all the information you need to stay connected with TWRA. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.